Chris, good weekend after that win on Saturday?
It always is. That's what you work towards, and as I've always said, we have to enjoy it. First one of the season, obviously, and long overdue, but fully deserved.
A quick turnaround, obviously, with the travelling involved for Watford, but do you think that will just give a bit of a different feeling around the place?
Yeah, the feeling's been really positive. You've seen that in, I keep saying, the majority of performances. And so we're upbeat because of the performances and because we didn't think we were a million miles away. I think if we'd have, been really struggling and thinking about where do we get our next result from, then maybe that would have. But of course, the longer it goes on and you don't win, then you just stick a little bit of pressure on yourselves that you don't really need and shouldn't be feeling really. So. Yeah, well, listen, we're coming up against arguably one of the toughest tests of the season away to Watford. Talked about them at the weekend very, very briefly in terms of coming out of the Premier League, players that they've got at disposal, immediate return to the Premier League. I should imagine is key and number one objective for them. They're not a building side. They're not a team in transformation. They're a team that is expected to go straight back up with a new manager in place and still some outstanding players at their disposal.
They have, but they have also lost a few along the way, haven't they? Like Emmanuel Dennis, for example. So.
They've only lost one, haven't they?
Yeah, well, I thought they lost a few more.
Have they?
All I'm saying is perhaps not quite the job that Rob Edwards thought he was walking into.
Well, that's nothing for me to comment on really. But they still kept the majority of them and added good players to the group as well. So I think still in everybody's eyes, got the tools to do the job to get straight back up, and when you're up against that away from home, then you have to produce one of your best performances of the season, and we're certainly going to have to do that on Tuesday night. It's
a big night for them. They're celebrating 100 years of football at Vicarage Road, so you could be the party poopers.
Well, as always, you always want to be that as an away team. So it's a club with a rich history. And another one that's, as I said, been in and around the Premier League for a number of years, fallen out of it a couple of times, jumped straight back up a couple of times. So they believe that's where they should be, and everything that'll be going on the night, whether it's a celebration, whether it's the team's performance, whether it's the manager's desire to get that win, to get another 3 points, to keep ticking along and pushing towards the top of the division. All those things that we have to overcome, but I've got a group of players, a decent group of players that've got good desire, good belief, because as you said, in that period when you don't win, it really can take a dent, and I never felt that in terms of the performances that we were producing. They didn't really look short of confidence, but as always, to get that first win is huge for everybody, and we'll go there. Knowing that if we want a successful season, then we've got to pick up some points on the road as well as anybody else has to.
And that one win makes such a difference to the table now, doesn't it? I know it's very early days, but now suddenly you're 3 points
Stop
off the
looking at that table. Stop looking at that table. 3 points off the playoffs, dear me. Stop looking at that table.
We won't.
And we all do. And we all do, of course, yeah, because you're winning games of football and you're climbing. So that's what we intend to do, and it's thick and fast. As I said, a trip down to Hertfordshire, a tough game, and then obviously back up the road and a game on Monday. So the challenges of what the Championship is all about. Yet again, it's your full in the face this week.
Did you get the results of Zach Steffen's scan on his knee?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, so we're hopeful that he'll be available to play on Tuesday night. But I've got to say, I thought Liam's debut was really good, and he can be really pleased with his contribution. Didn't have anything to do in my eyes. I don't think he had one looping header late on, But he was neat and tidy with the ball, which we want to be and want to start our attacks and build from the back. Made some good decisions, and he was nice and calm, and he can be delighted with his debut, and then obviously played a part in a winning result.
And for Rodrigo Muniz, is he still essentially in the same boat as he was on Saturday? Because again, you've had very little in the way of preparation time. That it's still all about getting used to it.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, we're doing stuff off the pitch in terms of video analysis and clips and whatever. But I've got to say as well that his attitude towards it is fabulous. You know, he wants to soak up all the information that we're giving him. He's doing stuff on his own as well. You know, watching teams as well, which I think that just shows you what a love of the game he's got, and it's really refreshing because I think at times, you know, you get a little bit disappointing and disillusioned with young players, and even at your own academy, that you know are they really in love with the game? You know, do they really want to make a career out of it? Because you know they have a fabulous opportunity if they've got talent, and but when talent isn't added to application and attitude, then you're not going to make a career. And Rodrigo's got that. He's, as I said, he's a sponge. He can be pleased with his contribution on Saturday afternoon. I thought he gave everybody a lift, and I think you saw why we were really keen to get him in the building and get him with that big number 9 on the back of his shirt, because it's a big shirt to wear, and he's happy to take that challenge up.
And you will be delighted, of course, that this time next week we can't really, well, we could ask you about loan signings, but we can't ask you about transfers anymore. Has there been any movement over the weekend? Any progress made?
Well, obviously my focus and the coaching staff was Saturday, but I've had conversations over the weekend with Kieran and to see if things are progressing, and I'll get an update this morning, and hopefully, you know, we're still, you know, very, very positive and very keen to do business before the window. Sure, I think, you know, we've talked about it at length, what we need and what we'll try and do, and we'll try and do as much as we possibly can and push through. But as I said, yet again, the balance for me is, you know, keeping in touch with sort of the information and the progression of certain deals, and balancing it up with a huge game on Tuesday night.
Great, thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks, Mark.
Just coming in off the back of that, Chris, I mean, in the last few days of the winter, sometimes, you know, things unexpected happen, like players becoming available, you might not have thought of. Are your targets quite locked in for the positions you want, or do you anticipate that could happen where players you didn't think were available suddenly are?
I think there was a period about 2 or 3 years ago, especially when we sort of went through COVID and whatever in the Premier League, and everybody said, well, all these things are going to change now. You know, football's going to change. You know, nobody will be spending as much as they have done in the past, and everybody will be cutting the cloth accordingly at the top level, because obviously everything's dictated by what happens at Premier League level. In terms of the players that filter down, of course, you're always looking to see what's available below, and still prices when teams below you, and even teams in the same division, put a premium on their players because they want to maximise the fee. So that's quite difficult, as we talked about it before. But everything really is getting driven, and always has been, gets driven by the Premier League. And I think you've just seen over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks the numbers that are getting spent. And I've got to say, I think it'll be a mad 3 or 4 days now. I think there's going to be some huge business done. I think teams will spend, and then there will be players there that maybe weren't ever anywhere close to having that opportunity to get in, that you might be able to get. So we're really open. We're working on deals, but we're really open as well to anything that comes up. It's not ideal. I don't really like it, you know, as I said regarding the window, and how this goes on, because I believe it should be shut, but it is what it is. There will be spending going on, and one thing is, I think we are waiting, and we have that ability to really improve our group if something comes available for us that we really fancy.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, as you say, it's Saturday a good example of that squad starting to take shape slightly now, particularly at the back. That was probably the first time you've been able to kind of feel the back three as you would want it.
Yeah, I've talked about it, the balance, and but players, it's not just getting players in just for the sake of it. Players have to be the ones that are right in terms of attitude, person, profile, games played, all the boxes that we need to tick. And then the difficult part of it, as always, is the pricing of it, really. Especially when the permanent signings like Matt was. So it's not been ideal, and I've been really frustrated. There's no doubt about that, and we all would, I should imagine, and everybody at the football club would like to get their business done early and give us the best opportunity to sort of build from an early start. But that's not the way it's been this year. And I think possibly from ourselves, really, because of the size of the build. We've got to still remember that we've brought a hell of a lot of players in, and we've let a hell of a lot of players go. And I'm hearing murmurs already about big spending this and big spending that. This is all within budget and things that I've talked about before, and financial fair play. So, yeah, again, nonsense talks. People trying to heap a touch of pressure on you and what they do, but I think we're comfortable in terms of the business that we've done. We've done some great business this pre-season. You look at the group, and as I said, the amount of numbers that we've got in, we've done some smart ones, and we've been ambitious on another couple. We're ambitious in terms of Zach Stefan from Man City. Still loads more to come, and obviously Rodrigo that we've had to wait for. But we've waited for the right one, and smart business in picking Darrell Lennon up on a free, and Ryan Giles as a young player, and Tommy Smith, and there's obviously another couple in there. So the younger players that we've brought in from a development point of view that will get better. So there's a hell of a lot of business that's been done. But I think obviously when you saw after the sort of Marseille game going into the sort of first game of the season, we were lying. There's no getting away from that. And we understood that, and we had to take the pain, and we had to suffer through that period. And but as you said, 2 players coming in last week gave everybody a lift. And if we manage to do the business that we want to do in the next 2 or 3 days, window shuts, and we can really get our heads down. We're playing a little bit of catch up, but as been said, it's we're not. We've got to keep picking points up consistently right the way through the season if we want to be successful. So nothing really changes. But I believe, and as we talked about before, I believe this group can go well when the window shuts, and we'll show that consistency and keep nudging away.
Yeah, you mentioned giving Muniz that number 9 shirt. I mean, a shirt that, as you see, it can come with a lot of pressure, but taking that challenge head on, which must be pleasing for you.
When he shoots from 50 yards, when he catches one on his chest and shoots from 50 yards, I'm not so sure there's a lack of confidence in the boy. So there might be when I have a pull of him and say, hang on a minute, mate, But I think if Duncan had done that, then maybe people would have gone, what's happening here? But because he's Brazilian, all of a sudden, he's got the confidence to do that. But, it's something you don't want to knock out of him, of course. But I think you saw early glimpses of what he can produce, and said if we get Juba back, and we've got a really competitive front line there, and add in the players that we want to add in, and Matt coming into the group, and all of the dynamics of what you're trying to build and what you're trying to achieve, and the depth and quality of the squad now. So this has been a huge, I keep stressing it, it's been a huge challenge, and fingers crossed when the window shuts, it'll be a positive window for us, because the numbers that we've changed going out and coming in, and since I've been here, the loan signings have gone back who were here last year, and we feel we've brought some really good loan signings in, because we have to use those loan signings really intelligently, and we feel we've had to do that, and we've done that, and Alex coming in as well another one. I suppose is that many you forget about a couple. So no disrespect to any of the boys that I've not mentioned, but the groups are getting there. I think if you look at the bench as well, on Saturday we've possibly left one senior player out, and we've got an injury to two senior players, Zach Stefan and Tuba. But when you look round and you look at the benches at other clubs that who want to be pushing towards the top of the league, that's usually what it looks like. What it looks like at Sheffield United, what it looks like at West Brom, what it's going to look like at Burnley, what it looks like at Watford, those teams at Norwich, what it looks like at Norwich. Those teams, when you see that, they've got that, and we all need it.
Providing you get those deals done in time, I imagine you're going to be a very relieved man at 11 p.m. on Thursday night and it's all closed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it happens in the next 24, 48 hours and somebody, eases the pain a little bit and puts me out of my misery, then I will take that all day. But yeah, that's the nature of it. And as I said, I've been said to you guys all along, it has been, a really tough one to deal in. And I think when you'll get time to speak to Kieran as well, and maybe it'd be a good idea that you do speak to him, because him and the recruitment department as well have obviously underpinned the majority of the work there, and obviously very very experienced in terms of working away through windows. And we all talk and sit down and say from maybe Steve through to Neil to Kieran and to me how difficult it's been.